So this is the continuation of my Android app build using the MIT App Inventor. We're going to cover mainly the Bluetooth application. So what you see going on right now is the initial Bluetooth code that I built, but this is based off a project I'd previously done that used Bluetooth. But the Arduino Nano uses Bluetooth Low Energy, or Bluetooth Light as I call it. So all this code right here is basically worthless. But I'm just kind of letting it roll in the background so you can kind of see everything I went through before I realized I had screwed up. Um, so I assembled my block code here in the app, and then I switched over to the Arduino here in a bit and did that code. And that didn't work either because I included some older Bluetooth libraries that pertain to just Bluetooth. And I needed to include Bluetooth LE codes or libraries to get it done. So I had to add those in, which you can just see that go through there. Um, but I eventually figure out my mistake and get back at it. Uh, but as you see, I ended up having to do a lot of research before I was able to figure that out. Um, because there's still so much about this MIT App Inventor that I don't know. So I had to figure out what a lot of these calls actually meant. So there, MIT actually provides a great repository on all the calls and what they mean. And from going through there, I was able to deduce what I had done wrong and realized that I had to add an experimental extension for Bluetooth LE. And so that's about where we're at now in this build program.
All right, so I want to talk about the Bluetooth stuff some. So, uh, as you see through some of the videos, the I had started out doing some fancy stuff. I created all these separate screens and I was trying to make it look nice. You know, you have a main menu and then you move into the Bluetooth section, you connect and you come back and you go to the information section, and it was looking really cool. But then once I actually got Bluetooth working, anytime you change screens, it kills the Bluetooth connection. So now I have to go back to doing everything on one, or I have to reestablish Bluetooth connection every time. And that takes, you know, anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds, depending on the device you're trying to connect to and from. So scratch that. Everything's going to be on one screen now. We'll get fancy with it and just hide stuff, and we'll talk more about that in the future. So if you look here, I had to add. I started out with Bluetooth client, Bluetooth server, because last time I used this, that's what I did. But the Arduino Nano uses Bluetooth Light. Um, Low energy. So I've got this stuff here and I don't need it anymore. So adios. Um, and I only use the clock for the Bluetooth stuff, so it can take a hiatus. I saw this right here. You notice that's the Arduino emblem. I added it just to see what it was. Um, it's not anything I can use on this project. It deals with a certain Arduino board that's basically designed for this. So one day I'll look into that. So I've got some stuff here, and actually, this isn't even the screen I'm using anymore. The one I'm actually using is this one right here. I'm going to go and rename it. And so you can see I've got everything laid out. It's pretty close to the final version, but there's still some stuff that has to be changed. Some of it's just debugging stuff. But this is what the layout looks like, and you know, in a second, or I can show you what it looks like on the actual phone, and it looks very similar. So what I'm going to do is go over here to the blocks, and I'm not a fan of this block programming type thing, mainly because stuff just likes to lay on top of one another, and it becomes hard to read. It's hard to see everything at one time, um, and you know, it's some of it's pain in the butt, but some of it's really interesting. It helps you know what you need to accomplish something, which is really nice. Um, but it really makes it hard to review your content. Look, see, I just found stuff that um, was floating around. Um, More stuff that is not being used. Look, there's another global, something else not being used. Uh, this is the only downside I have found to this uh, block design aspect so far. Uh, but other than that, it's a great learning tool. Um, so here's all my globals. Do I have any more? There's a couple more up there, so we'll bring them in. That way we can see everything at one time. Um, so let's zoom back in here. So if we look in here, and actually this looks like something that's not even being used. It's not connected to anything. You see the little notch up there. Um, so we've got a notch up here. We got notches here. These notches tell where stuff can latch together. Um, so this really isn't doing anything. That's just extra junk. But if we look at where we start at in the beginning, and so when we look at our screen, there's nothing going on. There won't be any information there, just buttons and fields. We have to scan first. And so when we click this button, it's the first thing that can happen. So if we find when scan clicks, so it does some if statements, and what it does is it checks, I have it check the state. Are we connected? Are we on? You know, stuff like that. If we're off, we start scanning. If not, we stop scanning. So we're just turning the scanning of Bluetooth on and off. That way, our the app isn't currently or constantly drawing um, um, energy by actively scanning for Bluetooth. So another thing we do is here um, we make a list field pop up. So there should be another one. Where's it at? See, it's hard to keep stuff in order because stuff just gets moved around. Oh, so the one thing, so we see the list once we start scanning, and it shows all of, in this list, it'll show all available Bluetooth items we can connect to. And I'll show you what that looks like on the phone. So then we can pick one of them. We select it, and once we select it, we actually have to click our connect button. So our connect button does very similar to what the scan button does. Let's see, here it is, button one click. I haven't gone back and renamed it as connect button. No, wait, that's not it. Where's our connect button? Uh-oh, we lost something. Looks like we lost a lot of stuff through that moving around. Dang it. Let's undo some stuff. You know how we're going to undo this? We are going to close this project. Wait, I think it auto-saves everything. Dang it. No. Well, isn't that lovely? So let's go back and add what we missed. So we lost our connect button. Um, oh goodness. Let's zoom back in where we can't see anything. Um, so when connect, click. Is this it? Yeah, here's our connect, click. So stick that in there. All right, that should take care of that. We got that function back. Um, so we call up our Bluetooth connection and we connect, or we disconnect. Easy peasy. Um, then once our Bluetooth actually connects, we have it do some keying stuff. Um, so we just change some values. We stop the scanning process. We hide that list to give us more screen space. Then this one right here, we register for bytes, and we have to do this on a specific one because that one value, we want it to notify us if it ever changes. And this one is our pump state currently. That way, if our this was just testing, but the actual Arduino will update our phone with the state change. But we have to register for that. That way, whenever it auto sends a notification, we know to accept it. Um, So the next thing we do, so this was attached to something. What was this attached to? Ooh, oh, I'm not looking forward to fixing all this. The next thing, if we come here and look, we have, so this home button takes us back to the home screen. We're going to disregard that. That's going away. This button, this was my like debug button, but it's going to remain. I'll rename it. This is download information, basically. So when you click this, it asks the Arduino for these values. So let's go back and look. So when this button is clicked, all it does is read values from certain bits of the Arduino. So it says, hey Arduino, I need this information, these bits here. And so then after it does that, whenever we actually receive any values, that's when we do fancy stuff. All right. So if we receive bytes, which relates to a certain value over here, in this case, it's going to be our pump status. And we check to see that we're picking the pump status. Then we put those values into a global variable, and that global variable actually ends up being a list. So the Arduino sends this little array, and so we only want the first string in that array, and so we select that and we pump it into the variable, and then we put that variable in here. This was a debug. I could actually get rid of this if I wanted to. And then I actually read that value. Is it a 1 or a 0? And then I have it print on or all, or well, you know, actually here I set, there's a little switch. That way you can visually see if the pump is on or off. Here I'm reading a string, and this is for the H2O value, or the water level. Is it high or low? I'm doing the exact same thing, and then I'm putting that value into one of the fields, and I do the same thing for my soil level. So I got to go back. This right here, I was testing with controlling the Arduino from the app. So I was using that little switch, which is here, and when its state changes, it will actually send a value back, a 1 or a 0. So that's what that is. And so now what we'll do is we'll actually come here, and we will show you some testing. So I use the companion app and I scan the QR code that's on the screen, and it connects with the MIT App Inventor server to relay information back and forth. And so you can see my screen, and I'm recording my screen as well, but you can see it looks almost exactly like it. So I hit my scan button, and you can see the garden controller and any other Bluetooth device in the area. I select it, I connect to it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up I'm going to turn this auto scroll on. So you can see where it was sitting here. Once it connected, it actually started running. Alright, so and for some reason, since I got here today, it's been disconnecting on me, which has been a bit annoying, but it's not going to interrupt us for what we're showing. But what I want to do is show you this, so that little switch. So we're going to connect again, and you see we're running. Actually, what it is, it's timing out, and I don't know if it's my phone or this or the system, and so it's never fully connecting, and so there's no data being transferred between the two at this point. And see, it failed. So I don't know what's going on with it. Um, all right, so I got the app to work again. So the blue screen loads up, or the Bluetooth screen loads up, and this is what we get here. The first thing I can do is scan. Oh, I'm already connected. So I've actually connected now. You remember how I went through that process. So now we're connected, and you can see that there's nothing here really, but if I hit this button, it'll request values. And so we can see that if I bring up the monitor, this looks about right. So soil is somewhere about 10. Current water level 0, that means low, and pump status off 0. So we can check this. If I move the float high, you can see on the serial monitor it went to 1. So we re-request information. So soil moisture still low, water levels now okay. So if we look over here, let's give it a connection, which the corrosion on these nails makes it hard to get a good connection. So we got full connectivity on the soil. Let's request again. Is it getting it's not doing anything. Did our connection go stale? Let's see if we can force some new information. Apparently we're not transferring any information. Oh wait. It's because of our if statement construction. I stumbled across this earlier. When we have continuity, none of our values update properly. So if we do this, nope, we're done for. We are now connected. You can see we got the update. So let's see. So all of our values are what are on there. Let's change one. Didn't. There we go. All right. Now let's ask for that update. There we go. What happens if we do this? There we go. Now, the ultimate goal with this button is we could turn the pump on for a given period of time. We're not all the way there, but we can turn it on short term. As soon as it goes through its loop again, it'll turn it back to off. But you can see where we got the received information. Now this didn't update properly, but the pump is still off. We've got some, you can see right here the 0 pump status. So if we request new information, it should re-update. So you see the switch went back. And so I have the notify one. If you come over here and look where I registered for bytes, so if I change it and make the pump come on, this switch will change. So one thing I had to do was, for the Bluetooth aspect, to transfer data, everything needs unique identifier keys. And that's what these long string of characters are. So now I could randomly make something up if I wanted to, but there's a certain format that's kind of an industry standard. These aren't monitored or anything like that, like some encryption keys and stuff are, but they're there. And instead of just making them up off the fly, there are these generators, like this website right here, uuidgenerator.net. And it uses a whole bunch of stuff to generate a random key. So I did this to generate these keys. Now, I'm sharing them with you because this is open source. I don't care if you have them. You're not really going to be hacking anything because you have to connect to it for these to matter. But when you're designing, you may have to do something like this, and I would suggest doing this. So I went and just saved these into a simple text document, and I'm using them just for this. If I have any left over, I'll copy and paste them into another document and use them there. But it's my cheat sheet of what I used it for. That way, going forward, like different versions of this software and whatnot, I've just got a repository of information. So just wanted to show you that because it is one aspect of the Bluetooth that is required for proper function. All right.
All right, so that's currently where I'm at on this app development. It's not as far as long as I would like it to be. Still didn't get to any Wi-Fi stuff. Still missing a lot of data transfer and some fine-tuning of it. As the Arduino development continues, I'll continue working on this app, and hopefully we'll get a little bit further along. I mean, the icing on the cake is to, connect with a third-party weather service and download app information via their APIs. So, we still got a long way to go on this, but I'll continue to update it and, keep it rolling because this has a lot of potential. So that's where we're at, and until next time.